Where's Ben Isaiah?
He is. Yes, he's not. He's. I believe he's napping.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, I make him take a nap every day, pretty much. But I think he was. Hold on. Yeah, he's out cold.
Oh.
he's not even here.
You could dump some freezing water on him.
I do that, and he hates it. Alright, so let's just talk about this, though. See, and then he can watch this video, it'll be fine. If you were taking notes, or if you were reading your notes, what were your notes tell you to do?
First I found slope.
First, you gotta find your slope. Alright, there you go. Then what? So then you first. So first thing, find y mx plus b, and to do y equals mx plus b, the first thing in that is figure out what the slope is.
Right.
And then what?
Well, I figured out my slope, and I knew my points. So what I did was I plotted the points, and then made a line with the slope.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I found where they intersect and where they cross the x and y axis.
All right. So you did that all using your Cartesian coordinates and a piece of paper.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it all using mathematics. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do, I like it though, and like I said, write some English in your notes. Y equals mx plus. All right, so to find my m, I have to find this slope. Well, let's see here. The difference in my y's over here is, well, let's see, it's 5 minus 8, so it's negative 3. And it's 2 minus 3, so it's negative 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it just 3 over 1, so my slope is 3. Am I good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so y equals 3x plus, I don't know. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, so it must be minus 1. And 3 times 3 is 9, and it's 8, so it must be minus 1. So I got my first one.
Okay, so, hold on. To find your y-intercept, multiply your x coordinate by itself, and then set it equal to your...
Well, it's what okay, good. I make sense of this, but what did I do? I took 2, which isn't 2 my x.
Mm-hmm.
And I just figured out that my slope is 3x.
Yeah.
So 2 times 3 is 6. But it's not 6, it says 5.
Okay, hold on. Let me write this down.
Yeah, see, that's what I want you to do. And let's back this out just a little bit. Alright. Like I said, English.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So, but you're correct. First thing to do, find the slope. Then once I find the slope, find the Y-intercept form. Usually the easiest thing to do. And by finding the Y-intercept form, if I know my x, I know my y. If I know my x, I know my y. And it's consistent, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9, minus 1 still gives me 8. So I think I've found the relationship between those numbers. That 5 is the same thing as 3 times the x minus 1. And the way to write that is y equals 3x minus 1.
Okay.
And then same thing with the other one, right? 3 minus 7. So what did you get for the second?
Well, I know what I got. What did you get? I'm scared.
Well, it's the same process that I just did.
Yeah, I got y equals 4/3 x plus 2.
I like it. All right, so what's 7 minus, or 3 minus 7?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. So they're both negative, so it's going to be a positive slope again, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got 2 positive slopes that are going to be doing this, and they're going to cross at some point, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's see here. I like 4 over 3, because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
X.
And then...
Now I have an issue. When I put 1 in there, I don't get 4/3. Right? When I put 1 in for x. It's not 4/3, it's 3.
Right.
Alright, so 4/3 is the same thing as 1 1/3, I know that. So how much more do I have to add to 1 1/3 to get to 3? Well, I have to add, well, if I add 2, that's too much. I have to add 1 2/3. 1 and 1, 1 and 1 is 2, and 1/3 and 2/3 is my other one. So there it is. I like it. You didn't make a crappy one. You made a good one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Well, you know, I could just see you using all whole numbers and no fractions and so on.
I just gave myself random points and worked with it.
Very excellent. And you got some, very good, right? And now you get random points and you can figure it out forever. And you can describe those. Now what? Well, now you wanted to know where those lines cross, right? That was your question? What one point do those lines cross? Well, here's what I have to know. When are they equal to each other?
Where are they what?
When are they going to be equal to each other? That's what it'll tell me, right? It'll tell me when the x's are same. That'll tell me when I know when the x's are same, it'll tell me what the y is, right? It'll tell me that one point. But when I do this problem solving over here, I'm only going to get the x. But once I got the x, I know the y, right? Alright, so let's solve this bad boy. Do I have room? I do not have room. I'm going to put it up here on top. So what I'm going to wind up with is 3x minus 1 is the same thing as 4/3 of an x plus 1 2/3. Why am I doing this?
To make me practice.
Okay, I like it. But okay, I'll take that. But I mean, in general, to solve your problem, why am I doing this?
Because this is a lot faster than plotting both lines and then counting and hoping.
I like that too. Again, okay, good answers. One more time. Why am I doing this?
To study the relationship between x and y.
Oh, there's the political answer. I'm telling you, astrophysics, screw that. Just go directly to politics. Go straight to politics. All right, look. What I'm trying to do, why I'm doing this, is because I want to know what x is. And once I can figure out what x is, then I can figure out what y is. And once I know what x and y is, that's the point where these two lines cross. Where these two lines cross. So what I'm doing is taking the information I have to discover the information I don't have. In other words, I don't know what x is when these two statements are the same. So now I'm going to do my problem solving. Which is why we did all the what's under the cup and stuff when you were a kid.
Right.
So this stuff is easy. Alright, so hero 0, no fun, get back to 1, right? Alright, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And I'm going to wind up with 2 2/3. And then I'm going to subtract from both sides 4/3. Well, let's see here. What's 3 minus 4/3?
Negative.
I could get all crazy. I could make this 9/3, and then it'd be really easy to subtract 4/3. Isn't 9/3 the same thing as 3? So it'd be 5/3. There you go. All right, I like it. 5/3. Get rid of all of that. Now I know that 5/3 of x is the same thing as 3. So I'm going to change this into a mixed number for the moment. Excuse me, it's already a mixed number. I've been screwing those two terms up all day long. And improper fraction, correct. So that's going to be 6 8/3. And now I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 3, right? Because no fun, get back to 1. No fun, get back to 1. Because that gives me 1x, 15/15, is the same thing. Just keep doing it. X is the same thing as 24/15. Alright, now I know that x is the same thing as 24/15, which by the way is the same thing as 1 9/15, which is the same thing as 1 3/5, right?
Right.
Alright, so now when x is 1 3/5, what's y? I don't like this one. Even me. I like this one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, so I'm going to multiply 3 times 1 3/5, which gives me, let's just do it, 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 3/5 is 9/5, right?
Right.
Okay, so 9/5 is the same thing as 1 4/5, so 4 4/5 minus 1 is 3 4/5.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the point that I just figured out is that when x is 1 3/5, y is 3 4/5. And that's where those two lines, where these two lines cross. Now, if I was drawing a Cartesian coordinate picture of this, I would make my, you have on your graph paper, you have all those, I would make each one of these dots a 5. So each one of my squares would be 5 by 5 to get 1. Why? Because then it would be really easy to plot that point, right?
Right.
Meantime, if you just use each one of these as 1, then you're going to, kind of eyeball it on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm basically doing is just showing you, look, if you got to a test and you were freaking out in your freak out mode, well, you could always just draw it, right?
Right.
And if you drew it and you made each square 1, in other words, it'd be 25 in each one of these, right? It'd be 5 by 5. It'd be very easy to plot that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd have fifths that you could work with. That, young lady, was an excellent problem.
Okay, well, I have a parabola for you next.
I like it a lot. I like that one a lot. I like that a whole lot. Now, wait, and let's see your picture. See, and you're not all freaked out. I can see your beautiful. See, and then I'd ask you a couple more questions, like, well, I know the Y-intercepts, right? What's the x? What are the x-intercepts? Where does it cross the x?
X-intercept for the first line.
The y equals 3x minus 1.
Yeah, 0.333 continuing.
There you go. Is it positive or negative?
Positive.
All right, and then what would be the next one?
Next one is
Yucky.
yeah, not 1.8.
But do you see, all I'm going to do is solve for x again, where my x-intercept is, right? So I add 1 to both sides, and now it's going to be 1 equals 3x, so x is the same thing as 1/3, which is 0.333, like you said. Well, it's going to be the same thing over here, right? It's the same thing I do. I'm going to subtract 1 from over here, and then divide it by 4/3.
So yeah, it's yucky.
Yeah, so basically it's just x is going to be this, it's yucky. It's going to be 1 2/3 over 4/3, which is right? So then I'm going to just invert and multiply. I'm going to have 3/4, and then I'm going to just turn this back into my 5/3, and then I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to get 15/9. Right?
Ew.
Well, what's 15/9? That's easy.
5/3.
That's 5/3. Wait a minute, that can't be right. 15/12. I didn't multiply the bottoms. But you can already see, bam, bam, it's just going to be 5/4.
Yeah, it's 5/4.
Which is not so yucky, it's just 1 1/4.
Mhm.
1.25. Right?
Yep.
So it's actually pretty simple.
Mhm. All right. So you want the parabola?
Yes, I do. And like I said, you get an A for that problem right there. That was a great problem.
Oh, thanks. All right.
All right.
So parabola is x squared minus.
Oh, wait. Hold up your picture just so I can take a picture. You don't want to be in the picture? Oh, look, and you wrote some English in there. Can you get more light on it? It's dark over there, huh?
I just don't have. I could turn like my big light on, but it's really bright.
Well, just for the picture.
Okay, fine.
Yes, that's much better. Oh my goodness. It's like you're sitting in a dark, depressed room being a depressed emo teenager. Alright. Oh, except, turn your light. There you go. Boom.
Here?
Yeah, I think that'll do it. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
I could still put more light on it.
Alright, it's fine. Oh, well, if you can put more line on it, do it.
Well, I am.
All right. Fine, I'll take one more picture just to see. Maybe I can get the whole thing, maybe I can't. But anyway, that was an excellent problem. Love it. All right. Give me the parabola.
Okay. Well, I might as well turn off that light because I have that
Yeah.
one. X squared minus 9x plus 14.
That is the. Are you going to give me the picture? Well, okay, so you just give me the parabola. They're going to give me the picture, and then I had to tell you what the parabola was. All right, fine. X squared. Wait a minute. What'd you say?
X squared minus 9x plus 14 is equal to 0.
X squared minus 9x plus 14. Right, and we set that equal to 0. All right. Well, let's see here. First things first. I look at this and I see I can factor it quite easily. So what am I going to do? X, Y, Z, right? Or X, Y, V when you get right down to it.
Yeah.
V is your vertex. So my X is just going to be factoring this, which is X minus 2 and X minus 7. So far, so good?
Well, I did x minus 7, x minus 2.
All right, fine. And what I'm going to see is that that's going to be that point right here and that point right there in the x-axis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in fact, I can draw a quick sketch over here. I'll keep track. How about over there? How about over here? I don't have any, it's room is what I'm doing. I'll just pan the other way. Oops, this way. Alright, get this stuff out of here. And get that stuff out of there. And then I can punk. Oops. Punk. There you go. And there's my x-axis, right? So this is -2 and that's -7. Alright, next thing. Now I gotta know about my y-intercepts, right?
Yep.
Alright, so then I'm just gonna do factor it the other way, and this pen's
X
dying
minus
too.
9 plus 14, so that equal to 0.
Yep, so then I'm going to have x times x minus 9 plus 14, which will give me, this is f of x. Get rid of that for a second. This is still f of x. This is still f of x, just written a different way, right? Gives me equal sign, gives me equal sign. Now I got to get vertex form. So what happens? Complete the square, right?
Plus 4.5 squared minus 6.25.
I like it because I'm gonna take. All I'm gonna do is just take this because you chickened out and only started with 1x squared, which is fine, but still, give me another one in the future that has more than 1x squared. But all right, just so you can practice, so that when you run into it, it's a gimme. It's not hard.
I can give you a good line problem.
You did give me a great. You gave me a great line problem. This is a good problem too. Also, actually. It's got a negative in there. It's like I said, it's not all positive. No, I'm not. You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying in the future you could give me one that had more than 1x squared, but I'm not knocking this problem at all. It's a good problem. All right, so now I got to take x, right? Am I going to be plus 4.5 or minus 4.5?
Plus.
How come? I'm completing the square with a negative number.
Well, if there's a negative in terms of negative, it's positive. But then again,
That doesn't have much to do with it.
Minus.
So let's see. All right, let's think about this some more. Is my vertex going to be positive or negative?
Well, your vertex is going to be negative.
It's got to be because it's in between these 2 points right over here, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be negative. Can't be positive. All right. So that means that this has to be positive because this x is going to be the opposite of whatever this is, right?
Yes. So it wasn't. You're testing me.
Of course I am. My job. All right, so it's what I do. That's why you're here. All right, so plus, and you went with, all right, 4.5. You didn't go with fractions on this one. Fine. All right, but now we square the number that ends in 5, and what do we get?
Get 9.
Wait a minute.
Oh, square.
I square it. If I add those two together, I get 9.
I misheard you.
Yeah.
4.5.
Squared.
20.25.
20.25, but it's not 20.25 like you said. I have to subtract 6.25 because it's 14.
Mm-hmm.
And does that give me a vertex of negative 4.5 and negative 6.25? Which would be that point right here.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we got everything. We've got 5 points. We have when x is 0, y is 14, way up here. When x is positive 9, or actually, yeah, when x is 9, it's also 0. So, wait a minute. Am I on the right side of my axis?
No.
You're correct. Well, why aren't you correcting me? You.
Sorry, I was eavesdropping on my mom for a second. No, because you have to set your x factors equal to 0.
Right. So, am I on the right side of my axis?
No, other side.
All right. So, is this right?
Yes.
How can it be right?
Because.
Ooh, good. I like that. I can see the wheels in your head turning. So
because
it's like this. Wait. It's like this. This is 2.
Like
this is 7.
Set your x and y.
Now, what's negative b over 2a?
Negative 14 over.
B is 9. Negative b over 2a.
Negative 9 over 2.
It's the opposite of 9, so it's going to be positive. I gave you every opportunity.
Yeah. I know it's positive.
All right, well, I had it all drawn negative, and you were totally cool with it for a second there.
Like I said, I'm eavesdropping on my mom first.
All right, well, quit eavesdropping on your mom and pay attention to your math. All right, now we can do it. Let's see your picture. Let's make sure your picture's right.
I know, my picture's right. I checked on Desmos.
All right, your picture's totally right, so how are you just going when I was making mine completely wrong?
Like I said, my attention was elsewhere for a second. I thought you were on the right side.
Yeah, okay, well, there's my 0, 0. All right, so fine, I'm going to even more. There's 0, 0. All right, now I can start labeling points. So this is going to be 2. X is 2, y is 0. That's that point. This is going to be 7, 0. Let's see here. Way up here, trying not to scale, I'm going to have when x is 0, y is 14. And then way over here, when x is 9, y is also 14. So we'll just make this one like, hold on quick. We're going to do x is 14, y is, oh wait, wrong. X is 0, y is 14. And then x is 9, y is 14. And then finally, my vertex that we got correct is 4.5 negative, right? Because it's the opposite of this. But it's 4.5 positive, and then, oh wait, okay, wait, let me say it right. When my vertex is 0, right? When I make this 0, it's negative 4.5 plus 4.5, right? No, this has to be negative, doesn't it? In order for that to be positive? Because isn't that negative? Isn't that negative?
Yeah, but you have to reverse them to set them equal to 0. Let's put
Right.
this in. Yeah, I have this in Desmos. I left this up in Desmos. I'm right.
You are exactly right, and I'm trying to get you to prove it. Because it's not, okay, so I'm asking you, is that the right vertex form finally?
No. The right vertex form is x plus 4.5.
Are you sure? Oh wait, and I didn't put my squared in.
No, you have to put your squared in.
Alright, so what number makes this 0?
Makes what 4.5 0?
This whole thing, yeah.
Maybe x plus 4.5.
Okay, so x has to be positive 4.5.
Yeah.
Positive 4.5 minus 4.5 is 0.
Positive 4.5, yes.
Alright, so do you see I'm positive 4.5 over here?
Yeah.
That x has to be positive 4.5?
Yes, it does.
Alright, so then this has to be, that sign right there has to be...
A plus sign.
Well, if I make this a plus sign, now this has to be negative because that's positive. So now my x would be negative and I'd be over here instead of over there.
No, but why does the x have to be negative then?
Well, because I want this to be, if I make this 0, this x has to be the opposite. And believe it or not, I'm spending the time on this because every kid just memorizes this, and you're never going to memorize this from now on. You're going to know it. That just take the opposite. But why? All right, well, first off, isn't that, when I complete the square with this, aren't I going to be just taking half of the negatives?
Right.
Well, isn't that just going to be 4.5 negative? Is half of 9, negative 9. Half of negative 9 is negative 4.5. Half of negative 9 is not positive 4.5. Further, when I want to, let's just think about this for a minute. When I want to put my points in and figure out that point right there, doesn't that mean that I have to have positive 4.5 minus 4.5 gives me 0, which will give me, when x is positive 4.5, y, positive 4.5, y is negative 6.25. Correct?
You are correct in this case.
Yes, and you were also correct, where this is what you call arguing to agree, but the idea being is, I want you to understand this part right here.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Okay.
Okay. So we were both similar.
We're both similar, right? No, I was being as wrong as I could possibly be, and you were going to correct me, but you didn't. You never do. Anyway, I'm waiting for the day. The day's going to come when you're just like, quit being a jackass. This is how it is. All right. So the idea being is that it has to be the opposite. So I'm over here at 4.5. And further, if I take negative b over 2a, well, that's going to give me positive 4.5. Because negative b is, because it's 9. So the opposite of negative 9 is positive 9, and that's just 2. So I have the negative 9. Let me make that nice. Can you see it? Yes, the negative 9 is positive 9. Divided by 2 is 4.5. So there is this. This axis of symmetry is, do I care what y is? I do not care what y is, as long as x is 4.5. Y can be 50, y can be 14, y can be 0, y can be negative. I don't care. X is still 4.5.
Right.
So once again, once I figure out that part, once I know the 4.5, even if you can't give me vertex form later on, like because it's got more than 1x squared or something like that,
yeah,
you can still just plug in 4.5 because y, and I've told you this numerous times now, because y, get it? Because y. Because when I know x, I know y. Right?
right.
And when x is, in this case, when I make this part 0, then the y is negative 6.25, which describes that point right here, which is 4.5, comma, negative 6.25. Did everything get on the screen? No. This other camera. There you go. Now it did. Right? Yes. All right. Are we making sense?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
and I can see in your face again that yeah, it makes sense. Because before, when you're like okay, so you get it. All right. So once again, opposite. It's over here. Right. This is the y-axis. There's my 0, 0. That's my origin looking silly over here. All right. That's my origin at 0, 0. All right. So it's over there. All right. Let's see your graph. Let's see your graph. I like it. The only thing I don't like, miss, is that you need to label your points.
I did.
You did not.
Yes, they are. They are labeled.
All right, you labeled 3 out of 5. You need to label all.
No, I labeled 4.
Out of 5. All right, give me 5. Give me 5 points. these two, and that one. You. But anyway, other than that, yeah, it's a fine job that we did here, or that you did here. And if I could make a thing, it'd be even better. All right, bam. All right, because we got all 5 points. We got that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. All right. I led you down the primrose path a little bit, but see, you were able to go no because you already worked everything out, and you checked it with Desmos, so you knew you were right. Yeah. And you still didn't correct me. I'm a little sad about that.
I corrected you a bit.
Anyway, all right. But see, once you get to that point, then like I said, when you get to a test, like, gimme. Right? Oh, graph this, gimme. Right? Or one similar to this, and they're all similar to this, because there's only so many polynomials, right? Because what are you doing? You're graphing something that has some x squareds, some x's, and some units. That's it. Now, these ones that you've been doing and that we've been doing, they all factor nicely. Now, what's the next step? The next step will be, it doesn't factor nicely. So then what do you have to do? To get these 2 points, which may or may not cross the x-axis. I mean, what if it's way up here? What if it's one that looks, like that? Well, then it doesn't cross. And there's no real roots, as they say. Well, but you can still figure out this part right there by doing what? By using your quadratic equation. Right? Which just makes any of them factorable. Well, not factorable, but any of them give up their roots. And my favorite thing is I've given this to some teachers and I haven't gotten any response from them. But do you know the quadratic equation? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus the square root of... Right. Minus the square root of... Wait a minute. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared.
B squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Yes, and you know what? Also works. And currently I'm trying to get some teachers to tell me why. Because this also works. It's the same. Because you will produce the same results. How come?
They haven't answered you?
No. Of course not.
How long did you send it?
Because I can do this and I can put that over 2a, but it's been a while. But this sends some people into a tizzy. Because that's not right, but wait a minute, it works.
Wait, why'd that send them into a tizzy, though?
Well, because nobody's ever seen... Well, I don't know if nobody ever, but I mean, very few people have seen this. Oh, geez, and it's not even on my thing. Ooh. There you go. Or actually, I could do this. Zoom in. Zoom in some more. Alright, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, but that's c squared over negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Anyway. You can't really see it on the top camera. Okie dokie. Holy cow. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to allow you to quit early for like the first time in your life. And
Really?
yeah.
Why?
Because you did such a fine job and you did your homework and now you know what you're gonna get. Because it's Wednesday. By Monday, all right, so this is the thing for your mom. I don't have it ready, but I will. Between now and, set aside an hour. All right, so it's gonna be an hour-long test, and I'm gonna send you a test. Do you have a fax number or something? And actually, I think I'm gonna quit. Oh no, I'm gonna kill this video. Crewton Ramone's House of Math.com for more.